The betrayal. The Galactic Conclave headquarters loomed before Captain Maya Chen's shuttle, its crystalline spires glittering against the void of space. Maya adjusted her formal uniform, the single platinum insignia of Earth's diplomatic corps catching the light of a distant star. After 15 years of cautious negotiations, humanity had finally been granted observer status within the Conclave, an alliance of 27 spacefaring species that claimed to govern this arm of the galaxy through peaceful cooperation. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions," her pilot announced, breaking the moment of contemplation. "Proceed as directed," Maya replied, her dark eyes fixed on the approaching station. "And triple-check our security protocols. Remember, we're guests here, but not necessarily welcome ones." The small human delegation had prepared exhaustively for this summit, where they would present humanity's formal application for provisional membership. Earth had expanded cautiously into the stars over the past century, establishing 12 thriving colonies across 7 star systems. The Conclave had initially seemed welcoming, offering technological exchange and trade agreements. But something about their enthusiasm had always struck Maya as performative, like actors playing a role rather than genuine diplomatic partners. Their shuttle docked with barely a tremor, and Maya led her team of 5 specialists through the airlock. They were met by arbitrator Selnaran, a tall, willowy meridian with silver skin and eyes that changed color with their emotional state, currently a diplomatic blue. "Captain Chen, welcome to Harmony Station." Selnaran's translators conveyed their musical language perfectly. "The chamber awaits your presentation." The central chamber of the Conclave was a vast amphitheater, with delegates from all 27 species arranged in concentric rings around a central speaking platform. Maya felt the weight of countless alien eyes upon her as she took her position. The supreme arbitrator, Calyx of the Draxian Imperium, towered above the assembly on an elevated dais. His reptilian features remained impassive as Maya began Earth's formal address. "Honorable members of the Galactic Conclave, I bring greetings from Earth and her colonies," Maya began, her voice steady despite the tension she felt. "For a century, humanity has reached for the stars with hope and determination. We have overcome our violent past and unified our planet. We have established colonies that thrive without exploitation of indigenous life. We have developed technologies that work in harmony with natural systems rather than against them. We now seek to join your esteemed assembly as provisional members, to learn from your collective wisdom and contribute our unique perspective to galactic governance." As she continued her carefully prepared speech, Maya noticed unusual movement among the Conclave's security personnel. Several delegates were being quietly pulled aside, their translator devices deactivated as they received private communications. Calyx himself seemed distracted, his clawed hand repeatedly tapping at his communication implant. Maya's presentation concluded to polite, if somewhat muted, applause. Calyx rose, his massive form casting a shadow across the chamber. "Captain Chen, the Conclave thanks Earth for its application. We will deliberate on your petition and provide our response in due course. This session is now adjourned for a brief recess." The abrupt dismissal was unexpected. Protocol dictated an immediate period of questioning from the assembled delegates. As the amphitheater emptied, Maya felt a light touch on her arm. Selnaran had approached, their eyes now a troubled violet. "Captain Chen," the Meridian whispered, "check your colony at Proxima Centauri immediately. Something is wrong." Before Maya could respond, Selnaran had melted back into the crowd. Maya immediately activated her secure communicator, connecting to her second-in-command who had remained aboard their ship. "Commander Park, Emergency Protocol Alpha. Establish contact with New Eden Colony on Proxima Centauri B priority override." The response came back almost immediately, Park's voice tight with strain. "Captain, we've been trying to reach you. We're receiving distress signals from all colonial outposts. New Eden reports they're under attack, multiple unidentified vessels conducting orbital bombardment. No warning, no communication." Maya felt the blood drain from her face. What about the other colonies? Similar reports coming in from Tau Ceti and Epsilon Eridani. Nothing from the outer colonies, just silence. Prepare the ship for immediate departure, Maya ordered, already moving toward the exit. Alert the rest of the delegation. We leave in 10 minutes. As Maya hurried through the station's corridors, she noticed the atmosphere had changed dramatically. Conclave's security forces were now visibly armed and watching the human delegation with unmistakable hostility. Near the docking bay, Maya caught sight of a large display screen showing tactical data, orbital bombardment patterns around a planet she immediately recognized as humanity's largest colony, New Terra. In that moment, the truth crystallized with horrifying clarity. This wasn't a coincidence. The Conclave hadn't just been deliberating Earth's application. They had orchestrated a synchronized attack on all human settlements, while the leadership was conveniently gathered at the Conclave station. Maya's team barely made it back to their ship before security protocols were initiated across the station. As their vessel detached, Commander Park reported grimly, "3 Conclave warships are moving to intercept us." "Evasive maneuvers," Maya ordered. "We need to get this information back to Earth." Their ship, a diplomatic vessel named Emissary, wasn't designed for combat. But its pilot, Lieutenant Quan, had once been a fighter jockey in Earth's defense force. He executed a series of maneuvers that momentarily confused the pursuing vessels, allowing them to reach the jump point. "FTL drives engaged," Quan announced. "But they're right behind us." What followed was a harrowing chase through 3 star systems. The Emissary took heavy damage, losing life support in 2 sections. They were forced to make a blind jump to escape, a desperate maneuver that could have killed them all. Instead, they emerged in an uncharted system with a dense asteroid field that provided temporary shelter. While repairs were underway, Maya accessed the ship's quantum receiver to gather information about the attacks. The news was devastating. All 12 human colonies had been hit simultaneously. New Eden and New Terra, their largest settlements with populations of over 3 million each, had been systematically bombarded. Initial casualty estimates exceeded 5 million. Earth itself remained untouched but was now surrounded by a Conclave blockade. Why would they do this? Commander Park asked, his voice hollow with shock. "We posed no threat to them." Maya stared at the tactical displays, her mind racing to make sense of the massacre. "I think we did pose a threat, just not in the way we imagined." She pulled up the records of their previous diplomatic exchanges, particularly focusing on the Conclave's unusual interest in human cognitive patterns and neural architecture. For years, they had requested brain scans and psychological profiles as part of cultural exchange protocols. Earth had complied, seeing it as harmless scientific collaboration. They were studying us, Maya realized, not to welcome us, but to assess us. 3 days later, the Emissary limped into Earth's home system through a series of indirect jumps designed to avoid detection. They found Earth's orbital defenses on high alert, with the remnants of the human fleet positioned to defend their homeworld. Admiral Hiroshi Takeda, the highest-ranking surviving military officer, received Maya's report with grim determination. "We intercepted a Conclave transmission," the Admiral informed her. "They're calling it the Human Containment Protocol. According to their inner council, our species was deemed too unpredictable, too adaptable to be allowed unrestricted access to Conclave technology. So they decided to exterminate us." Maya asked, incredulous. "Not entirely. The plan was to eliminate our colonial presence and confine us to Earth, where they could monitor and control our development." The Admiral's face hardened. They underestimated both our resilience and our capacity for righteous anger. In the weeks that followed, humanity transformed. Grief hardened into resolve. Former rivals united against a common enemy. Every available resource was redirected toward defense and, eventually, retaliation. The Emissary's data cores contained valuable intelligence that Dr. Eliza Santos, Earth's leading genotechnologist, used to make a crucial discovery. "The Conclave's technology is partially psionic," Dr. Santos explained during a high-level briefing. Their entire infrastructure, from weapons to communication systems, relies on predictable thought patterns that their technology recognizes and responds to. And human thought patterns? Maya asked, sensing the importance of this revelation. Chaotic, by their standards. Our neural pathways form associations they consider illogical. Our emotions create fluctuations they see as dangerous instability. Dr. Santos smiled for the first time since the attacks. And that means their tech can't properly defend against us. When our minds interface with their systems, we access functions they don't even know exist. Backdoors, override protocols, emergency systems buried in the code. Admiral Takeda leaned forward. You're saying we can hack their technology with our minds? Precisely, Santos confirmed. Their fear of our unpredictability was justified, just not in the way they thought. They saw a potential disruption to their orderly society. They should have seen an existential threat to their technological superiority. The discovery transformed humanity's strategy from desperate defense to calculated counterattack. Over the next 6 months, small strike teams conducted raids on isolated conclave outposts, gathering technology and testing Dr. Santos' theories. Each success built upon the last, as humans learned to interface with and manipulate alien systems in ways the creators had never anticipated. Maya, now promoted to Commodore, stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, Earth's first warship enhanced with repurposed conclave technology. Around her, crews prepared for Operation Thunderstrike, humanity's first major offensive against the conclave. Their target, the central command node controlling the blockade around Earth. All systems ready, Commodore, reported Commander Park. Neural interface operators standing by. Maya nodded, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Commence Operation Thunderstrike. It's time to show the conclave they attacked the wrong species. The reckoning. The Phoenix emerged from faster-than-light travel at the precise coordinates Dr. Santos had calculated, a blind spot in the conclave's sensor network. 2 conclave patrol vessels hung in space less than 50 kilometers away, their crew entirely unaware of the human warship's presence. Neural interface teams active, Commander Park reported. Beginning Phase 1. On the lower deck, 12 specially trained operators wearing modified conclave neural interfaces reached out with their minds, connecting to the patrol vessel's systems. Where conclave operators would have followed rigid protocols and predetermined command structures, the humans improvised, creating feedback loops and contradictory commands that confused the alien systems. On the tactical display, Maya watched as the patrol ship's defense grids flickered and failed, their engines powered down in emergency shutdown procedures that shouldn't have been possible without command authorization. Boarding teams away, Park announced. The operation proceeded with precision born of months of planning. Within 20 minutes, both conclave vessels had been captured intact, their crews secured without a single casualty on either side. The ship's communication systems continued to transmit routine status updates, maintaining the illusion that nothing was amiss. Phase 1 complete, Maya acknowledged. Prepare for Phase 2. Using the captured patrol vessels as cover, 3 small assault teams approached the command node, a massive orbital station that coordinated the blockade fleet's movements and communications. The teams consisted of neural specialists and combat engineers, each member selected for both tactical skills and cognitive flexibility. Captain Leo Rice led the primary assault team. A former Special Forces operative, Rice had demonstrated an exceptional talent for manipulating conclave systems. His mind created intuitive leaps that bypassed security protocols entirely, accessing core functions that should have been impervious to infiltration. Approaching Docking Bay 3, Rice reported. Station controls still reading us as scheduled maintenance shuttle. Maya monitored the operation from the Phoenix, now positioned to provide emergency extraction if necessary. Proceed as planned, Captain. Remember, we need that command core intact. Reyes' team docked without incident, using the patrol vessel's legitimate access codes. As they moved through the station, they encountered minimal resistance. The neural operators interfaced with environmental controls, creating false alerts that drew security personnel away from their path. The first real challenge came at the central control hub, where living operators rather than automated systems managed the most critical functions. A dozen conclave officers from various species manned the stations. "Neural disruptors ready," Rise whispered. The devices, developed by Dr. Santos, exploited the same psionic principles that powered conclave technology, temporarily scrambling neural functions without causing permanent damage. The human team struck with devastating efficiency. Within seconds, all conclave personnel were incapacitated, leaving the command hub under human control. "Hub secured," Rise reported. "Beginning data extraction." While specialists downloaded the command node's databases, containing fleet positions, communication protocols, and blockade coordination plans, Maya received an unexpected alert from the Phoenix's sensors. "Commodore, we're detecting a high-priority conclave vessel approaching the station," Commander Park reported. "Configuration matches. It's the Herald of Justice." Maya's blood ran cold. The Herald of Justice was Supreme Arbitrator Calix's personal vessel, the architect of the Human Containment Protocol. The butcher responsible for millions of deaths was heading directly toward them. "Captain Rice, accelerate your timetable," Maya ordered. "We have a high-value target inbound." On the command node, Rice's team worked frantically to complete their mission before Calix arrived. The data extraction was nearly complete when the station's internal sensors detected the approaching vessel. "Incoming transmission from the Herald," a communications specialist reported. "They're requesting priority docking." Maya made a split-second decision. "Grant their request. Captain Rice, adjust the mission parameters. We're taking a prisoner." The Herald of Justice docked at the station's primary bay, a secured area designed for high-ranking officials. Supreme Arbitrator Calix disembarked with a small security detail, entirely unaware that the command node was no longer under conclave control. Rice and his team had reconfigured the station's internal sensors to show normal operations throughout all sections. As Calix moved toward the command hub, neural operators systematically disabled his security team's weapons and communication devices. By the time the Supreme Arbitrator realized something was wrong, it was too late. The doors to the command hub slid open, revealing Captain Rice standing alone, a neural disruptor held casually in one hand. "Supreme Arbitrator Calix," Rice said, his voice steady. "Humanity would like a word with you." The massive Draxian froze, his reptilian features contorting in shock, and then fury. "Impossible," he hissed. "How did you breach our defenses?" "The same way we're going to dismantle your entire conclave if necessary," Rice replied. "You studied our minds looking for threats but missed the real danger. You thought our unpredictability made us dangerous neighbors. You should have realized it made us lethal enemies." Calix lunged forward, his natural weapons, razor-sharp claws and teeth, still very much a threat. But Rice had anticipated the move. The neural disruptor fired, dropping the Supreme Arbitrator mid-stride. "Target secured," Rice reported. "Data extraction complete. Beginning withdrawal." Within hours, the command node had been reprogrammed to transmit false data to the blockade fleet, creating gaps in their coverage that would allow Earth's forces to launch additional strikes. More importantly, they had captured the being most responsible for the genocide of humanity's colonies, along with terabytes of classified conclave data. Back aboard the Phoenix, Maya stood face to face with Calix, now conscious but secured in a containment field calibrated to Draxian physiology. "You've made a grave error, human," Calix said, his voice low and threatening. "The Conclave will never negotiate with terrorists." "Terrorists?" Maya's voice remained calm despite the rage simmering beneath. "Is that how you justify murdering 5 million civilians? By labeling the survivors terrorists? Your species was assessed and found too dangerous for unrestricted development." Calix replied without remorse. "The containment protocol was unanimously approved by the Inner Council. And yet here we are." Maya gestured around the ship. Your command node captured, your blockade compromised, and you in our custody. It seems the assessment was correct, just not in the way you expected. She approached the containment field, looking directly into the Draxian's cold eyes. But we're not like you, Calyx. We don't massacre civilians to solve our problems. Maya activated a display screen, showing a direct transmission to the Conclave's emergency session, called after the capture of their command node. The faces of 24 species looked back, their expressions ranging from outrage to fear. Members of the Galactic Conclave, Maya addressed them formally. I am Commodore Maya Chen of Earth. Your supreme arbitrator Calyx is currently in our custody, along with comprehensive data on your role in the unprovoked genocide of human colonial settlements. She paused, letting the implications sink in. We have demonstrated our ability to bypass your most sophisticated defenses. We have proven that your technology is vulnerable to our unpredictable minds. And yet, unlike you, we are not here to announce your extermination. The chamber erupted in confused chatter before Maya continued. Instead, we offer terms. First, the immediate withdrawal of all Conclave forces from Earth's solar system. Second, reparations for the 5 million lives taken in your attack. Third, a formal acknowledgement of the crimes committed against our species and the dissolution of the current Inner Council. An elder Meridian, Maya recognized Selnaran, the one who had warned her, spoke up. And if these terms are rejected, then we will continue what we've started today, Maya replied simply. One by one, your command centers will fall. Your communication networks will collapse. Your defense systems will turn against you. We will not target civilian populations as you did. We are better than that. But your conclave, as it exists now, will end. She let her words hang in the silence before delivering her final point. You feared our unpredictability. You should have feared our capacity for innovation when fighting for our survival. You have 48 hours to begin compliance with our terms. The transmission ended, leaving Maya alone with Calyx. The Supreme Arbitrator stared at her with newfound understanding, and perhaps the first glimmer of respect. You've changed the equation, he said finally. The Conclave has existed for 8,000 years. No species has ever successfully challenged us. You should have let us join you peacefully, Maya replied. Instead, you created an enemy with nothing to lose and everything to fight for. But unlike you, we're offering a path forward that doesn't end in extinction. 3 days later, the Conclave's response came through official channels. 7 member species had already withdrawn from the Alliance in protest of the genocide. The remaining members voted to accept humanity's terms, beginning with the immediate withdrawal of the blockade fleet. On Earth, populations celebrated their first victory against overwhelming odds. But Maya and Admiral Takeda viewed the development with cautious optimism. This wasn't the end, merely the beginning of humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage. Not as supplicants begging for acceptance, but as equals demanding respect. They'll be watching us closely now, the Admiral noted as they reviewed reports of Conclave ships withdrawing from Earth space. Good, Maya replied. Let them watch. Let them learn that humanity can be a powerful friend or a devastating enemy. The choice was always theirs. In the months that followed, the balance of power shifted dramatically. The Conclave fractured further as the truth about the human genocide became widely known. Calyx and 6 other members of the Inner Council were tried for crimes against sentient beings, with representatives from all affected species serving as judges. Meanwhile, humanity began the long process of rebuilding. New colonies were established, with advanced defense systems incorporating the captured Conclave technology. Dr. Santos led a research initiative exploring the full potential of human Conclave technological integration, developing systems that responded intuitively to human thought patterns. 1 year after Operation Thunderstrike, Maya stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, the former Conclave headquarters now repurposed as a neutral diplomatic forum. Representatives from 23 species, including former conclave members and previously unknown civilizations, had gathered to sign the Galactic Accord, a new framework for interstellar relations based on genuine respect for diversity rather than forced conformity. Maya thought back to her first visit to this station, when she had stood before the conclave unknowingly pleading for the lives of millions. Now, humanity stood as architects of a new galactic order, one built not on fear of difference, but on the strength that comes from embracing it. The conclave had feared humanity's unpredictability and tried to exterminate it. In doing so, they had unleashed a force they couldn't control and created a future they never imagined. As Maya prepared to address the assembled delegates, she reflected on the costly lesson the galaxy had learned. Humanity, when pushed to the brink, doesn't break. It evolves. It adapts, and it brings with it a reckoning that reshapes worlds.